Hi everyone, welcome to Management 650. This is Helen. I'm going to show you how to solve homework question 10. And this week we are in chapter 12. So in homework question 10, we're told that we have statistics for the preliminary heats of runners in the 2008 Beijing Olympics. We know that in Olympic running events, preliminary heats are determined by random draw. We're asked to determine if there is any evidence that the mean time to finish is different for Heat 2 and Heat 5. Our null hypothesis is that there is no difference between the mean finishing time of Heat 2 and Heat 5. Our alternative hypothesis is that the difference between the mean finishing time of Heat 2 and Heat 5 is not 0. Another way of saying that is that there is a difference in the mean finishing time of Heat 2 and Heat 5. Our first step is to check our assumptions and conditions. We're going to assume that our independence assumption is satisfied because there's no reason to think the mean running time of one runner in a group would influence the mean running time of another runner in the same group. We're also going to assume that our independent group's assumption is satisfied. We're going to assume that the two heats were independent. We are told in the problem that our runners were randomly assigned. So we're also going to assume that our randomized condition has been met. So now we're going to check to see if we can assume that our nearly normal condition has been met. And I'm going to do that by creating two side-by-side box plots. Now I'm calculating this problem in StatCrunch because I think it's the easiest way for me to do it. There are several ways to do it and it's all personal. But I'm going to use StatCrunch. I'm going to go to Graph, Box Plots. Now as you can see, I have entered the data in column 1 and column 5. I select Heat 2 in the first column. I press Control on my keyboard. I have a PC, so I could press Control, press Heat 5, and then I go down. I can unrelease my Control key, and under Other Options, I select Use Fences to identify outliers. I select Draw Boxes horizontally. I select Median under Markers, and I select Compute. Now, I'm going to move our box plots up to the center so you can take a look at them. As you can see, the red markers indicate the median, and those medians are fairly close for the two heats. We also see that the interquartile range are also fairly close of the two heats. Heat 2 does have a wider range in values, and that's really the only difference. So we're going to make the assumption that our nearly normal condition has been met. Next, we're going to look for outliers to see if we need to eliminate any of the data. In our box plot, we don't see any outliers. We also can examine the data itself. We don't see any outliers. So we're going to proceed with our two-sample t-test, and I will get rid of the box plots and immediately go into Stat, T-Stats, T-Stats, to sample with data. Sample 1, values in, I select Heat 2 for our first sample. Sample 2, I select Heat 5 from the drop-down box. Calculation options, I uncheck pool variances. I go to Perform, and I'm going to look at hypothesis test for the difference in the means. That is already checked. Under the null hypothesis, the difference between the two means is equal to 0. That we'll leave alone. Under the alternative hypothesis, the difference between the two means does not equal 0. I'm going to leave that alone, and I'm going to Compute. So there you go, select Compute, and what we see is that the test finds that the difference between the sample means is negative 0.23. Our degrees of freedom are 11.88. Our t-statistic is negative 1.262. And our p-value is 0.2312. Now we're going to assume that our significance level is 0.05. So we know that 0.2312 is greater than 0.05. So we know that we cannot reject the null hypothesis. So we know that we would have no reason to conclude that the two heats were different. And another way of saying this is that the difference between the mean running time of heat 2 and the mean running time of heat 5 is equal to 0. So that's all there is to it. It's very simple. If you have any questions at all, please do not hesitate to reach out to your tutors. We are here to help you.